What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with earnings that just came out, talk about the PPI data report, and what you should be watching for in the charts moving forward. Let me just mention that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So I just want to say that we just got the PPI data report and everything was aligned with expectations, looking pretty good, if not below expectations. And let's actually talk about what I mean by that. So starting off, PPI month over month was 0.1%. That's below expectations, if not aligned with them. Pretty good so far. Core PPI month over month was 0%. So that's below expectations. Core PPI year over year was at 2.4%. That is below expectations. And finally, PPI year over year was at 2.2%, below expectations. So this is a good sign for inflation, good sign for the next CPI reports that inflation is declining, at least according to the data. Once again, guys, this does not necessarily mean that prices are decreasing in value. This just means that the rate at which they're increasing is what's going down. The rate at which they're going up is what's slowing down, right? Just to make that very, very clear. So this is important because we're getting closer to the 2% target for PPI, and I think that that's a good sign, at least for now. The question is, will CPI follow this trend tomorrow? And so far, this is a more positive catalyst for the markets that could help us a little bit more. Obviously, we have the whole war situation involving Iran and Israel. That's not necessarily resolved yet, and there's still a lot more threats coming out. So just be mindful of that just to be safe. But when it comes to this data, so far, if we just kind of like ignore what's going on with Israel right now, so far these catalysts are a lot more bullish for the markets, and this could actually help us push even more. Wholesale inflation is at about 0.1% in July, month over month, less than expected. So it's a good sign, at least thus far. Not bad whatsoever. For other pieces of news, the S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite, they held their momentum so far, and now they're trying to hold up. We had a Home Depot announce its earnings. I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then right now, consumers are starting to feel a little more optimistic about inflation according to survey reports. So that's a good sign. Not to mention the fact that commodity prices are also once again going down. That is a little bit more positive for inflation. Now, I also want to mention that when it comes to the way things are looking, the Home Depot has announced its earnings. And then after the market closes, we have more coming out, such as New, not to mention Surge Pays and a few other minor ones. Then we have more retail coming out for Wednesday and Thursday. But for now, let's talk about the Home Depot. So unfortunately, the share price is down a bit because they expect sales to weaken as consumers grow more cautious. That's a little bit sad news. They actually had a very, very nice looking reports. They beat on EPS with $4.60, and they had revenue about 43.18 billion. So yes, the Home Depot was massive. That's huge amounts of revenue. But unfortunately, the share price is still down despite having some good earnings because their guidance is not as strong, and that's reduced their guidance. They're also talking about how for the year sales may continue to decline. So something else that's worth noting. I just want to make that very, very clear. For other pieces of news out there right now, we're going to be looking to see what kind of reaction we get from the markets and how this changes the Fed fund futures projections right now. And also, tomorrow it's going to be very important too, and we have CPI. So keep that in the back of your guys' minds. As far as Tesla goes, I'm seeing all this talk about how this Chinese EV company known as Zeekr is saying that its new battery could charge faster than that of a Tesla. So that's something that's worth noting. They're saying that their batteries could go from 10% to 80% in just about 10.5 minutes, but this depends on a lot of different factors. It's possible for them to do that, though, so that is pretty cool. All I just want to say is that that's good for them. Tesla is not necessarily perfect in every single way, shape, or form, but according to Elon Musk, the supercharger allows the company's vehicles to charge up to 200 miles in about 15 minutes. So, like I said before, at least at their fastest, Teslas can still charge relatively quick despite that. And I just don't think that it's really fair to compare all of these. Of course, there's going to be some companies that charge faster or slower. But at the end of the day, is Zeekr the same company as Tesla is? And the answer is not necessarily. They're not as innovative when it comes to AI as Tesla is. They don't have the same brand loyalty and a bunch of things like that. So I don't really like all these comparisons we see, but if they're going to keep doing it, like we just have to account for these comparisons and talk about why to me it doesn't really hurt Tesla like the way the media is trying to make it seem. Anyways, going back, I just want to mention that Tesla had about 15,500 insurance registrations in China. Basically, that's a big improvement compared to what we saw in the previous week. They're up 24% as well. And then also, they sold about 74,000 EVs in July in total, not to mention 27,890 exports in Shanghai, and then about 46,000 sold in China. So, cool stuff, at least for Tesla. Nice increase in sales in China. Now, the question is, how are things looking? So, nice increase in sales in China. That's positive. PPI was decent with the market trying to push. That's positive. Most catalysts have been more positive for Tesla thus far, as long as we don't get new bad news, at least over the next couple of hours. So, look at resistance at 199.61. If we break this, Tesla's going to be going back up to 202, then 205 plus. If we can't break 199.61, look at supports around 198. And if that fails us, we're going to be looking at basically 195. From a technical standpoint, we do have kind of like an inverse head and shoulders like structure, and we have this resistance to watch for more positive catalysts. So, in my opinion, I think the share price is favoring the upside. I think it's more favorable for us to see a little bit of a push. So, we will see if that ends up being the case or not. This does look a little bit more bullish to me. So, we will see if we can get that break. And overall, we're looking pretty good. For SPY, we're looking more bullish. We've actually broken past our 50 EMA at 534. If we continue to hold above this, I'll be looking for basically 539. 539 is another level I'll be eyeing. This is where we have this basically like this gap uh resistance, but if anything, it's actually not at 539, a little bit below that. So the high 538s, 538.8 to be precise. Just wanted to clarify that. So we could be looking for a bigger push on SPY. We do look a little bit more bullish. If 538.8 breaks, we were going to try to fill that gap to 541. To be bearish, you want to see us lose 535, not just 535, but also like 531.5. Those are going to be your two supports, the main ones to watch for. If we lose 535, we go back to being range bound. If we lose 531, we turn a little bit more bearish. But this chart is favoring the upside. We're trying to hold above our 50 EMA. I think we may attempt to go up to about the 538 to 539 area. And if we break that, I'd be looking for 541. We look more bullish, technically speaking. If we look at ES, we've broken the structure. I had this drawn out. Excuse me. I was talking about how the chart looked more bullish, and now the technicals were correct. We made a higher low relative to this low, and now we're trying to push in this wedge. It's trying to go up higher, all the way up towards this 5430 area. So it's looking more bullish so far. For Nvda, we pushed all the way up to resistance around this 113 area. If 113 breaks on Nvda, we could be going all the way up towards, I would say the next level to watch is going to be with this 116 area. If we break and we end up projecting off 113, look at key support at 110, not to mention 107. But just know we are favoring upside, and I think there's a good chance we try to continue. SPX did a good job at holding up. We're going to be watching to see if we can hold above 53.50. If that's the case, we'll be looking for 53.80, then eventually the 5400s to fill that gap. So we're looking pretty good on SPX. Bitcoin had a double top like structure. We're still kind of shuffling right now. Gonna be looking for a push for 59,600 again to see if we can break that. We look quite decent. For the QQQ, we look more bullish. I called out 455 as a potential target. We did reach this. We got to hold above 454. If we lose this, we're going back down to 449. If we hold above this, we're going to continue to push. In my opinion, we're starting to fill this gap right here. So I think we might try to continue to fill this gap, which would take us all the way up to about 457. And if that breaks, we could get closer to about 460. But we look more bullish, in my opinion. Apple, we look pretty good right now. We're going to be looking for a push for this 220 area. And we have key support at 216. We are favoring upside so far, so watch to see if that ends up being the case. But so far, so good. For Supermicro, we look a little bit more bullish. I think that there's a good chance we continue to push for this resistance. I'm going to be watching 580. I think there is potential for us to go all the way up there. If we were to lose 545, look for a dip, but we're looking more bullish. For IWM, we're looking more bullish as well. We need to try to hold above 206. If we do hold this, we're going up to 208. We need to lose 205 to turn back to bearish. This is favoring like it wants to push now. But just be careful because resistance is very tough around 208. But I'd still see potential to try to get closer to that. For Coinbase, just know that we're kind of consolidating right now. We have this resistance to watch for around just under 200. So watch resistance around 194. Then we have 200 above that. And we have a key support right here around 189. If we do lose that, I'd be looking for basically 182. I think we favor a test of 194. We're kind of fighting. They're still consolidating, but we need to break that for confirmation. Haven't broken it yet. As long as we hold above 167 on Amazon, I think we could fill this gap up towards about 171. If we We also got to break 168, by the way. Then we'd be filling that gap all the way up to about 171. If we fail and we lose 167, we turn back down. There is potential this to make an attempt to push. So watch for confirmation. Meta looks more bullish. Watch 520 as resistance. If we break this, we're going back up to about 527 plus. Uh, Microsoft looks more bullish. I think we might be testing our 50 EMA, at least 412. If we lose 406, we turn back down to about 402, but this is favoring 412 plus. And Google is also favoring upside. Watch 166 as resistance. If this breaks, 167 is likely coming. If you lose 164, look for a dip, but this is still looking more bullish. So that being said, I just want to thank everyone so much for listening. Just know the market is looking more bullish, in my personal opinion. Tesla's going to attempt to pump, but this resistance, this 20 EMA is kind of tough around this 199 area. Can Tesla crack that resistance, the green resistance EMA right over here, or will we end up failing? So I'll be watching that. We still got to try to get back above 200 to hit 202 and 205. It's a tight level that Tesla's in, so give it the time it needs. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, guys, and peace out.